The king! The king is coming! Hurry up! Kara and Tom dragged Ellis along the streets of Rivven, scrambling and squeezing through the crowd. Ellis clutched his notebook and tried to read as they ran. "Which way?" shouted Tom. "Left," called Ellis. "Take a left here." He turned, but the crowd swept him along and he lost his balance. Tom pulled him back with one powerful hand. Together they forced a path through the crush and reached the bottom of a narrow lane. "Are you sure?" asked Kara, peering up. Ellis nodded. "This is Rat Lane. It cuts up to Hill Terrace. It's quite an interesting side street because—" "Come on!" cried Tom. "They're nearly here." The three friends scrambled up the hill. Within a minute they reached the top of the lane, coming out onto a quiet corner of Hill Terrace. They skidded to a halt. Tom grinned. "Perfect." At the heart of Rivven was a huge rocky hill that towered above the city. On top of the hill was the royal palace, with steep white walls and flags flying in the breeze. A road curled down from the palace gates and opened out into a wide cobbled street that passed below Hill Terrace. This was King Street, and today it was the route of the spring parade. The crowd heaved and pushed below them, but from their perch, Ellis, Tom, and Kara had a perfect view. They watched the parade roll past. First, there was the King's Guard. The horses were dressed in their finest saddles and wore polished buckles, and the riders' breastplates and swords gleamed in the pale sunshine. At their lead trotted Captain Hork, head of the King's Guard, puffing his chest out in glory and wearing his extra tall head plume. The royal household followed, all the top servants in their finest outfits, the men in red breeches and jackets, the women in long, flowing yellow dresses. They waved and smiled at the cheering spectators. Next, there was a marching band with drums and brass horns and long trumpets hung with flags. The musicians walked in perfect time as the rat-a-tat-tat of the drums echoed off the city buildings. And then came the king. His carriage shimmered with gold on every surface. Ornate curls and whirls decorated each side, and it was pulled by 6 horses with shiny black coats. The carriage was open-topped, carrying King Godfic, his most royal majesty, ruler of Rivven and the land of Draconis, defender of the realm and dragon scourge. Ellis and the others watched from above as the carriage rolled past and the crowd cheered. "Huh," said Tom. "I thought he'd be taller." King Godfic sat hunched in a white fur robe. A golden crown rested on his head, and he appeared to be bored. He waved lazily to the crowd on either side, but didn't pay them much attention. Behind him rolled another carriage. This one had only 4 horses. Its gold designs were almost as glorious. When the crowd saw the second carriage, they cheered again. "It's the prince and princess!" shouted Tom. Prince Harold, blonde-haired and handsome, grinned at the crowd. His tunic was scarlet, with shining silver thread. He waved as if delighted, pointing to the homemade banners and occasionally turning to make comments to his younger sister, the princess. Princess Sky did not respond. She wore a beautiful blue gown, the color of the summer sky, but she kept her arms folded, making the dress look wrinkled. She gazed out at the crowd, her mouth turned down and a sour expression on her face. "She looks like fun," said Kara, and Tom snorted. He turned to Ellis. "Hey, what are you doing?" he asked. "You're missing the best parts." Ellis looked up from his notes. "I was just thinking, when we came up Rat Lane, we could have turned onto Candle Street and avoided the crowd, see? It would have been quicker."